welcome back to my garage. My name is Sirhan, and I'm standing in front of my 2023 Dodge Charger Hellcat Widebody. I've owned this car for 3 months now, and I thought I'd do a quick video to go over my experience in the last 3 months as a Hellcat owner. I'll go over what I like, what I dislike, what it's like to own a Hellcat and drive this car, and has it met my expectations? So let's get right to it. But first, let's start with a cold start. Okay, so like I said, I've had this car for 3 months now, and so far really loving the car. I think Hellcats look best in black. I might be biased because all my cars are black, but on the inside, it's got the red, which is really nice. If I could go back, I'd still get this car black with the red interior. I think the red interior really gives it a nice pop of color. They seem like very high quality. So after 3 months of ownership of this car, I can honestly say this is probably one of the fastest cars I've ever owned. The only modifications I've done so far is I've added these overlays for the emblems before they were satin black. And I've tinted the rear windows. When I was looking to buy a new family sedan, the Hellcat was one of the cars on my list. And the other car that I came really close to buying was a Porsche Panamera Turbo. However, in the end, obviously I chose the Hellcat. I've had a couple of Porsches before and they are fantastic cars. However, I just still think this car is just kind of stands out a little bit more than the Panamera. Especially with the wide body, these fenders, it gives it an awesome look, which is really unique. And then you've got the supercharger. 717 horsepower and the amazing exhaust. You know, top speed and just the raw power and just the fun of driving this car. It's just hard to beat. So I'm very happy with this car. So if I didn't have this car, likely I'd be sitting next to a Porsche Panamera. But so far, absolutely loving the car, and we'll take it for a drive. So the best part of this car is obviously the 6.2 liter supercharged V8. So there's a close-up of that supercharger. It's a 2.4 liter. It's a fantastic motor, and it's kind of a shame that we won't see cars like this anymore. Actually, I've never noticed this before, how it says Charger right here. Here's a last call plaque, which comes on all the 2023 Chargers. Let's go for a quick drive. Little tiny bit of wheel spin right there in second gear. And this is what I mean, this car is like so much fun. So I've had this car for 3 months now, and in that 3 months I put on 2,800 kilometers. I haven't put a lot of mileage on this car just because it's not a daily driver. You could easily daily drive this car if you want. I chose not to drive it on a regular basis as a daily. I just don't want to add mileage to this car because there's people that buy this car and they'll just park it and they'll just use it as a collector car and just wait for it to go up in value. Now, I don't know how long I'm planning to keep this car, so the only time I actually drive this car is when I'm out with the family. It's very rare that I would just drive this car on my own and just run errands. This is actually probably the second time I'm driving this car by myself, so it's usually a family event when we take the Hellcat out. That being said, with the 2,800 kilometers that I've driven so far, one of the things I've really noticed, which I didn't expect, is the amount of attention that this car generates. Before I bought this car, I just assumed a lot of people would just think it's you know, just a Dodge Charger and not think anything about it. But you know, for those car guys out there, they know what this car is, and I'm just surprised how many people out there know what exactly a Hellcat is. So every time I take the car out, we always get thumbs up from people. People want to race. People asking me to rev. That's another thing I've really noticed, and one thing I don't really like about this car is the fact you can't rev the engine when the car's in motion. So for example, with my C8, you could pull back on both the paddle shifters and rev the engine. Which is kind of a cool feature, but you can't do that with the Charger. So what happens a lot, this is almost really every time I drive this car, they'll ask me to rev it, and I can't, because the only way I can rev this car is I would have to literally stop, put it in park or neutral and rev it. So I wish there was a nice feature where you could just like give it some gas and just rev it with the transmission disengaged, but like you can with the C8 Corvette, but you can't with this car. But that's the only negative I've really experienced with this car. That's about it. Other than that, like, it's a really great car to drive. It's very comfortable, practical. Another reason why I don't daily drive this car, it's such an expensive car. I'm not really that comfortable driving this expensive of a car. Like, this car was 125,000 Canadian plus, so around 90 to 100,000 US. And so if I decide to drive the car, I have to consider, where am I going? What is the parking situation like? How are the roads? Because it's just not a type of car I just want to park somewhere and leave it. And so it's just a little uncomfortable driving such an expensive car. For me anyways, this is really expensive. If you're not rich like me, you know, this is a lot of money for a car, right? $125,000. That's a lot of money. Every time I drive it, I always have to make these prayers in my head. So it's a little bit a source of a stress when you drive such an expensive car, especially a car that seems to gather a lot of attention. But it just takes off. Like, oh my God. And those shifts are violent. So right now I'm in track mode, and you shift, like you feel it. Like it's really shifts really hard. I kind of like that. The other problem with this car is everyone drives so slow relative to you. Like, God. Like, you can spin these wheels at will. That's what's so much fun about this car. And like I said in another video, you always need two hands when you're driving this car. The gas mileage is not that great, to be honest with you, and it takes premium. So if you do daily drive this car, you're going to be at the gas station on a regular basis. When you do drive it sensibly, like I am right now, and just cruising, it's not that bad. Mileage is actually pretty good. It's just when you like step on it, then you can see the gas needle move. Well, that's okay. That's just the cost of driving a 717 horsepower car. You know, it was actually my kids. I got two teenage boys, and they're the ones that really influenced me to get this car. I wouldn't say it was number one on my list. Like I said, the Porsche Panamera was really up there, and I was seriously considering buy one. I've always wanted a Panamera, just because I've always loved the styling of the Panamera. And I saw a really nice turbo one. It was, you know, used, but it was beautiful, and I was really close to getting it, but you know, my kids are like, no, Dad, get the Hellcat. It's a lot more fun. So like I said, I really love the styling of this Hellcat, this wide body. Just really takes it up another level from the base Chargers. Like the design, like little details like this, like the nail saw grill, really love that. The black headlights. Just look how wide those stick out. It really gives it that really nice aggressive look. You got this massive hood scoop, fully functional. Like overall, just the styling of this car, I think just looks amazing. Like so aggressive. Just love it. And the back looks really nice, especially with this light bar that goes all the way around. I think that's really cool. Overall, it's a very nicely styled car. And 717 horsepower in a family car. Like, what's not to love? One of the things I've noticed recently on the 2023s, one way you can tell 2023 between 2022 is on the 23s, this entire outline is your turn signal, whereas with the 2022s and before, your turn signal will be in here. So I just noticed this a few days ago. So I think that looks a lot nicer. See, that guy was looking. Like I said, this car gets so much attention, which is not what I expected. I just assumed a lot of people don't know what a Hellcat is, but it's just amazing how much attention this car gets. I think this car gets more attention than the C8 Corvette, honestly. Mind you, the C8 Corvette is a few years old. Well, this Hellcat Widebody is a few years old too. The Widebody came out. See, again, this guy just gave me a thumbs up. This is what I mean. This car gets so much attention, which me personally, I kind of like to be more not so out in the open. But wheel spin. There we go. That was massive wheel spin right there. Yeah, you just can't drive this car and not smile. It's that much fun. Negatives, I talked about the fuel mileage. Yeah, fuel mileage kind of sucks, but that's only if you drive it hard. If you drive it sensibly, like a normal person, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty reasonable. And it takes premium gas too. The insurance is a killer. Actually, I was shocked how expensive it is to insure this car. So to give you an idea, what I pay for insurance on this Hellcat is more than what I pay insurance for the C8 Corvette and the Porsche Cayenne Turbo combined. My insurance company was like, why is insurance so expensive? They said, well, it's just more expensive to repair. But I don't think that's true, because I mean, I've got a Porsche Cayenne, which is like very expensive to repair, and I've got a Corvette, and Corvette parts are not cheap. So I don't know why, the insurance agent said that. Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense. Like, this part, a lot of the parts is basically from a Dodge Charger. But I think the reason why the insurance is so high is I know these cars are prone to be stolen. It's not a problem where I live, like in Canada in particular, and in my community, like car theft is very rare. So to me, it's not a concern. Like, I have no concern that this car will get stolen if I go park it somewhere. I have no concern whatsoever. But I know in the States, this car does attract a lot of theft, so maybe that's why the insurance is higher. It doesn't make any sense why it's so expensive. And you'd figure because it's 4-door and you've got seats in the back, it's a family car, that the insurance wouldn't be so expensive, but it is. So I really don't understand why the insurance is so expensive on the Hellcat. So if you're a Hellcat owner, leave us some comments below, because I'm really interested to know what you pay for insurance. How does it compare to your other cars, and what part of the country do you live in? The quote that I got from my insurance company for this car was $3,800 a year, which is crazy expensive, because that's not, I don't even pay that for the Corvette and the Porsche. A Porsche is very expensive to repair, and so is a Corvette. Porsche and Corvette parts are expensive no matter what. Insurance is a killer, guys, on this car. What I pay for insurance for the Corvette and the Porsche is pretty much equal to what I pay insurance just for this car, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Other than insurance and the fuel mileage, I don't think there's really any negatives about owning this car. So, in conclusion, the Hellcat is badass. It's fast, it's loud, it's comfortable, it's practical, and everywhere you go, people are gonna give you a thumbs up and ask you to rev the engine. The only downside is expensive, it's bad on gas, and bad on insurance. But other than that, it's a fantastic car, and I'm loving it so far. So thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.